What is storms of life? Storms of life is anything that troubles your life to cause total destruction to the strength that you have or your faith. Storms are trials, temptation, battles of life that shakes us from the foundation. So anything that comes to us to sink us down are storms. And storms can come to us in various forms. If I have a job that I've been using to cater for my family, and I lost my job, and after that I hadn't any money to take care of my family, I can't pay my rent, I can't meet up the challenges, that's a kind of storm. If I'm married and I have a loved one, and all of a sudden everything that gives me joy scattered, that's a storm. If a pastor starts a church and all of a sudden the members disappear, nothing, and everything close up, that's a storm in a disguise. A brother told me he stayed in one of these European countries for 17 years, was sent to jail for 3 years on what he knew nothing about, deported after that, came back home empty-handed. That's a kind of storm. How many of you are crying over things that you never planned? Now, a storm is something that shakes you from the foundation of your life that you have no explanation to them. And even when you try to explain, you don't say to yourself, am I the only person? Several years ago, around my life, I felt that nothing good can come out because my experiences were so bad. And I became weary at a particular point in my life. I'm talking about when it was difficult to eat a square meal. There was one day in Songota, we had stayed with my son for about 3 days without food because we hadn't any money to get anything. And it was bad. And he came to meet me towards the evening and said, brother, Papa, I think my faith can't carry this anymore. So we had to visit another pastor friend in Songota in the evening around 5:30. And when we got there was no sign as if there was food or meal for them, or maybe they're preparing something. And I had to open up to the pastor. I said, sir, for 3 days we have not eaten anything. And it's not that we are fasting. It was hunger strike. Now, hear me. When you experience this kind of hunger that you are not fasting, it is terrible. I'm talking about storms of life. I had taken my bath with Omo. I had rubbed red oil as Vaseline. And yet, I was anointed. And yet, God spoke to me about this future. And yet, every year it looks impossible for me. I'm not talking about good clothes. I'm not talking about suits. I'm talking about it is so bad that the omo we were using to wash plates was my bathing soap. And the oil we were using to cook soup, which was little behind the bottle, was my Vaseline. Have you gotten to a point in your life? Because when I hear people say, Papa doesn't understand us, I'm coming from somewhere where I can relate with what you are going through. I was not born with silver spoon at all. Now, I'm telling you, some people ask me, why do you give recklessly? Why do you think it's because when you know where you are coming from, and He saved you from storms, trials of life, you will understand why God passed through that. Hear me very well.